Good evening, everybody. Welcome to round 7 of our 1991 Formula One series, coming to you from Magny-Cours in France. I am Jason White. I will be your play-by-play announcer for this race. Welcome back to this series. It's been a very interesting couple of weeks. We had a very interesting previous round was Mexico. We had a great Mexican Grand Prix. Very exciting, and it did have sort of a sea change in the championship. We'll talk more about that as we go forward. Our drivers are now in their warm-up session. Let me run down the top 10 for you in qualifying as time expired. In first place for qualifying this time, you see him on your screen, Cezariusz Ślepinski, 1 minute 19.227. In second place, Ray Rudall, the series leader, and he was only 0.158 seconds back. In third, a surprise in the second row, Lewis Wedding, now driving a Jordan. In fourth, Grant Rudall. Fifth, Anders Nilsson. Sixth, David Saber. Seventh, Jules Bouchard. Eighth, Juha Boss. Ninth, John Team. And 10th, Giovanni Centorami. Those are your top 10 going into today's French Grand Prix. And I'm joined in the booth by Johnny Aces. Jonatan, how are you?
Could be far worse. I didn't qualify, and I didn't honestly expect to qualify with the Coloni, so yeah, we'll be helping out in the broadcast booth if Alberto is unable to show up, so
well, we really
yeah,
appreciate you chipping in. I know that it's not fun being actually there were 27 cars in qualifying, so unfortunately Jonathan is the one driver who did not qualify, and that's not a fun thing to have happen. If it were me, I would simply just stomp off and go do something else, but he's graciously offered to help us here in commentary until Alberto hopefully shows up at some point. So we're very grateful for that, Jonathan. You're a really good sport.
I don't know if it's your end or mine, but there seemed to be some breakup.
Oh, it must be on your end because it must be on your end because it's crystal clear on this end. So. Well, anyway, so let's take a look at our at the course that we're at here. We are here at Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours. 1991 was the first year that the French Grand Prix was held at this circuit. Previously, it had been held at Paul Ricard for a number of years and sometimes at Dijon, but this was a very different circuit than they had been used to at Paul Ricard. Basically, Magny-Cours features an interesting blend of high-speed straights, fast and slow corners, and it has a modest amount of elevation change here and there. This is likely another one of those cases where the drivers will be settling for compromised setups, but I've been proven wrong by this group before, so we'll see what happens. In our last outing at Mexico City, Ray Rudall substantially increased his championship lead. Part of it because he gave us such a flawless run. The other part of it was that a lot of his closest pursuers in the championship fell by the wayside and scored no points. So he was able to really extend his lead. He's going to be looking to do that again tonight, starting on the outside of the front row and trying to have another flawless drive. It wasn't the easiest of qualifying sessions for him. We'll talk about that a bit later. But meanwhile, there is one other big headline in this series, and we're looking at it right now, being piloted by David Saber and Luciano Rocha. This race, Jonathan, shows the debut of the Ferrari 643. This is a brand new Ferrari chassis. And the hope was at the time that this would increase Ferrari's fortunes. This car, designed by the team at Maranello, it looks a bit like a McLaren when you look at the lines of the car. But it was designed to be an improvement over the 642, and there were some items that the car addressed, like having a softer spring setting as a possibility, which is something Prost asked for. And in the real-life race, the 91 French Grand Prix, this car was qualified on the outside of the front row by Prost, and he actually took the lead of the race. In the end, he finished second to Nigel Mansell, but only 5 seconds back. So, at least initially, it appeared like this car might be the answer for Ferrari's woes, that it would be a competitive car, and that it would increase their good fortune. Unfortunately, that turned out not to be the case. The car started to give reliability issues, most notably with the engine. Lots of engine failures and other things happened. And by the Japanese Grand Prix, Prost was thoroughly frustrated. He was quoted in the media as saying that a truck would be easier to drive than the 643, and Ferrari promptly fired him after this public proclamation, replacing him with Gianni Morbidelli at the Australian Grand Prix to close out the year. So the car wasn't really much of a success in real life, but the question is it going to be any help to David Saber and Luciano Rocha in our sim world? Jonathan, your thoughts?
Well, I would say that it was probably a step forward on this kind of track where you need good handling, but obviously the way they tried to solve the issue was to apply more and more power to the engine until the block presumably couldn't take all the strain. In terms of for the Ferrari boys here, does look pretty good for Saber, currently sitting in a stable 7th in warm-up. Let's see if I can find the second Ferrari here somewhere. There we are in 13th. So I'd say for both Rocha and Saber, that is a step at least towards the right direction. Race pace-wise, Saber obviously finished well last time out in Mexico.
Yeah, that was with the old 642, and he did it largely on a very novel tire strategy. He didn't stop. He drove the entire race on one set of tires, and we thought he had made a really poor decision, and lo and behold, he had finished second. So he had us all snookered in the booth and on the track. So he may try something like that again down the line. I don't know if it's appropriate for this circuit, but David Saber is certainly willing to be creative when it comes to race strategy.
Indeed, I'd say that this track is not suited for doing a no-stop strategy. I think you might just get away with a one-stop strategy today due to the heat, at least the heat we saw in qualifying. But I think you could also make a two-stop work, similar to how Schumacher a few years later would make. I think he did 4 stops around this place in one.
Oh, really? Wow.
So it can be done to do far less stops, but you need to have quite a bit of overspeed to do more stops than 2.
Well, the other big story that we have to discuss is that there's been a wholesale change in drivers at McLaren. Jules Bouchard has now joined the McLaren team in car number 1, and I believe Dario Epe is in car number 2. I think that's a guest drive. But Jules has already shown good pace in the MP46. Now, we all know how capable Jules is when he's found a car to his liking. Evidently, that his previous seat in the Jordan team wasn't providing that for him. So, going forward, now that he's at McLaren, can we expect to see more of the Jules Bouchard we saw in the 1986 F1 Championship, or is that too simplistic of an expectation? What do you think?
I do think we can expect Bouchard to extract more out of the McLaren, mainly due to the fact that the Jordan is obviously like a little bit slower because, well, effectively a privateer car. But also the Jordan had monoshock front suspension, whereas the McLaren has the more conventional straight up spring suspension like you'd see in 86. So I think at least it'll be easier for him to set up the car to be to his liking, but McLaren is still a bit temperamental to drive, so we'll have to wait and see if he can truly extract everything that the McLaren has in it.
Ironic here, he's following this old car. Well, no, that's Nilsson actually. So, Okay, so let's take a look at the point standings going into today's race. I mentioned Ray Rodal is at the top, and he's got a 14-point advantage now over second place Anders Nilsson. Third place is Giovanni Centrami with 16 points, and he's tied also with Cox in there, third place, 16 apiece. And then in fifth is Cezary Slapinski with 11 points, maybe more after today, given where he's starting. The Constructors' Championship, Cannon Williams' team is on top, and they have one more point than Ray has. That 1 point is from Drexler, finishing sixth somewhere along the line. Team 7-Up Jordan is in second with 32 points. Braun Tyrrell Honda is in third with 22 points. Scuderia Italia one back in fourth with 21 points, and then Minority Team has 12 points in fifth. So why don't we go on the track here and see if we can catch someone at the start of a lap here, and we'll talk you around the lap here at Magny-Cours. Let's see, it's looking for somebody here who's about to complete. Oh, this is cool here. Rocha, I believe. Yeah, he's following Saber. This will be good. Okay, so entering a lap now, coming through the final corner here, Lycée. Starting a lap here with Luciano Rocha. Right ahead of you is his teammate, David Saber. Sweeping back to the left, the Grand Courbe, and now right into Estoril, a very, very fast right-hander without any kind of banking, so it's dead flat. You got to really ask a lot of the tires there. Now heading down a long straightaway. This little kink right here is called Golf. And now we head into probably the slowest part of the course, the Adelaide Hairpin, appropriately named since the hairpin at Adelaide is one of its more striking features. Now you head back and forth, turns 6 and 7. In subsequent versions of Magny-Cours, this was removed. Now heading down this short straight here to a right-left combination called Nürburgring. Most of these corners are named after other circuits. Now into a 180-degree bend. It is literally called 180 degrees.
180 for sure.
Yeah. Now back to the right for turn 11. Now you have another short straight here. Now right, left at Imola. Coming up to the Chateau d'Eau, which literally translates as waterhouse. Turn 14. Now heading down the final straight here into another back and forth chicane. These turns are actually a lot faster than you would think they are if you're driving on the limit. And now into Lycée one more time, the right-hander leading onto the straight. And you can see the checkered there is actually, they're going to be starting a bit further up the road, closer to the Grand Combe. And when the actual, after the race is started, the actual finish line is going to be immediately after Lycée. Or Lycée, excuse me. Heading down into Golf once again. This is the brand new 643 Ferrari. So both Saber and Luciano Rocha have the use of this car. Luciano climbs over the curb at the Adelaide Hairpin. Right, left, turns 6 and 7. And you can see Dario Epa just ahead of Luciano here as they head into Nürburgring, now into the 180-degree bend. Dario driving the second McLaren, as I thought he would be. I was guessing. Fortunately, I was right. Even a broken watch is right twice a day, Jonathan. But it's a very challenging course, and as I mentioned, lots of elevation change. Not a lot, a modest amount, but enough that it would make a difference. And I think, at least for me, watching these cars go around here, the one concern that I would have, just as a spectator and a commentator, I'm looking at the tires are going to take a huge bashing here, I would think.
Oh, yeah. Hence why a no stop is definitely not a thing. A one or a two stop for tires is the main thing. And you also have, with the beating the tires takes, with the nature of the track, there's also the fact that it's very technical. You really need to be on your guard pretty much the whole way. The only places right here where Rocha is now, in behind Upper, this straight with a slight kink that it's effectively so small that no one really thinks of it.
No, it doesn't really affect you at all, but
the only place you actually have time to have a break.
Yeah, well, in any case, I think this is going to be a very interesting race, and it's going to be a race not only of skill, but managing your car properly. managing the tires, not pushing too hard too early, and it'll be interesting to see how it turns out for a lot of our competitors, not the least of which are the Ferrari team and McLaren and Ray Rydal, the series leader. Let's have a look at what's coming up soon at ISO. The next round of this championship, the Grosser Prix, Grosser Mobile 1 Prix von Deutschland at the Hockenheim Ring is going to be on July 7th, 2 Sundays from now, I believe. That's round 8 of 16, so that will be the midway point of the series. Green light at 2000 CEST. So that's the next one coming up. Trivia question for you all to ponder. Luigi Fagioli shared the 1951 French Grand Prix victory with which of the following drivers? Is it A, Louis Chiron? Is it B, Juan Manuel Fangio? Or is it C, Alberto Ascari? We will have the answer later on for you in the broadcast. All right, so
Ooh, that's a difficult one.
2 minutes to go until we form up.
Oh my god! Ouch!
What happened?
In the hairpin, I don't know if it all missed his braking point.
Oh my goodness, it does look like
stopped working, but
pieces and parts
slammed into the rear of a Modena.
Well, apparently Matthias Whitman is taking avoiding action as well.
And that is also a new car for this round, by the way.
Oh, it is, yes.
AH25B.
The AGS is new as well, yes.
An updated version, but still with similar issues in terms of all other things.
Yeah, a short review of the qualifying report. Ray Rydal was the first to really put his stamp in the qualifying at his second lap. Was at 120.006. Then David Saber came along and was P2 at 120.135, and I was thinking, okay, so maybe the 643 is working for him. Then Anders Nilsson came along and snatched the pole away, 119.895. Ray Rydal then came back and took the pole again at 119.508. Bouchard was in the mix as well with the McLaren P4 on his 8th lap, 120.359. And Juha managed to get P4 on his last lap that he could record with a 120.262. But then Ślepinski started to assert himself, P3 first at 119.965, and then P1, 119.227. That's all he needed for the pole. Ray Rydal, to his credit, went out again and tried to capture the pole back, but he had mishaps on both fast laps, so he's going to start second. Lewis Wedding was the story of qualifying, though. Apart from that, he became P3 initially with 119.819, and then dropped a few places when other people advanced, and then he got P3 back at the very end of the session with his 11th lap with no minutes left on the clock, 119.751. So it was a very lively qualifying session, lots of action, and as I mentioned, unfortunately, only one DNQ, and that would be Johnny Aces. I imagine the Coloni was really hard to hustle around this circuit.
Yeah, I had a word with some of the other drivers after the session was over, and compared especially the wing setups that was being run. The lowest wings I heard them was 27.3.
Oh wow!
To even have the Coloni handle at all through these turns, I had 7 in the rear, 6, 7 in the rear, and like 35, 36.
Just to keep the back end nailed down.
Yeah.
Wow.
And even with that, the car was nervous through some of these turns. So just one of those tracks for the car, unfortunately. But we are into the race session here.
All right, 72 laps are on the board here at Magny-Cours.
We have a driver missing on the grid. Looks like so. We are just. I'd assume moving back a moment to give them a chance to.
Yeah, we're going to recycle the warm-up session. Try it again. In any case, that gives me a chance to talk about some of the advancements. You mentioned that there was a new AGS. It's the JH25B. It's basically a JH25 with modified bodywork. The radiator exits were repositioned to provide cleaner airflow to the rear wing, which is always important. The cleaner the airflow, the better the wings work. and it's sporting a new livery due to new owners. So they went by Home Depot and bought a bunch of paint and decided they would stamp their claim on the AGS team. Footwork is done with Porsche. Porsche has left the footwork team, and they are using heart-tuned Ford Cosworths. That's got a sting for the people in Stuttgart. When you're being dumped in favor of tuned Ford engines, that's quite a kick in the pants, I would think, for them. In any case, the engine is going to have less power, but the thing they're worried about is they want more reliability. So that's why they went with that engine. Ligier introduces the JS35B, which improved the car slightly after some input from Frank Durney. The only way we know if it was effective is by talking to Thierry Boutsen, because he hated the Ligier Lamborghini. If it even remotely gave any help, he would have said it. But he hated that car so much in '91. Minardi developed a major aero revision for Magny-Cours. Maybe that's what's happening, or maybe that's what's helping Cesarius here. Brabham also has corrected a problem with a hot air spilling over the rear wing. As a result, the rear wing efficiency has been improved. Ferrari, as we mentioned, is introducing the 643. And Lotus has introduced a revised radiator configuration with no real benefit. Well,
it's one of those where you change the design, you hope that this should improve it.
Keeping people employed at Hethel.
That too.
All right. Anyway, here we go. We're going to go on the parade lap in just a moment here. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. On the pole with a scintillating lap, Cesarius Slipinski in the Minardi Ferrari. In second is the series leader, Ray Radal in the Williams-Renault FW14. In third, the surprise of qualifying, Lewis Wedding driving the Jordan Ford J191. In fourth place, Grant Radal in the Dallara Judd D191. In fifth place, Anders Nilsson, Jordan Ford J191. In sixth place, in the brand new Ferrari 643, David Saber. Driving for McLaren now and starting seventh on the grid, Jules Bouchard, MP46. In eighth, Juha Boss driving the first of the Benetton Ford B191s. In ninth, John Team driving his Leighton House Ilmore CG911. 10th, Giovanni Centorami, Dallara Judd D191. 11th, Dario Epa in his McLaren Honda MP46. I would wager that this is the highest up on the grid Dario has ever qualified for any ISO race. Rarefied air for him. 12th, Richard Wilkes, Tyrrell Honda 020. 13th, Gabriel Del Piccolo, LaRousse Ford LC91. 14th, Brian Janik, Lotus Judd 102B. 15th, Luke Rosella in the footwork, now powered by a Hart engine, as we reported earlier. No more Porsche engines for the footwork team. 16th is Oscar Team, Leighton House Ilmore. 17th, Michael Drexler in the second Lotus Renault. 18th, Mark Matthias Whitman in the AGS Ford, the new one, the JH25B. Bruno Chacon is 19th in his Benetton Ford. 20th, Luciano Rocha, Ferrari 643. 21st, Salvatore Sirignano in the Fond Metal. 22nd, K.O. McKeel's Brabham Yamaha. 23rd, Dante Barbera in the other Brabham Yamaha. 24th, Rob De Vries, Modena Lamborghini. 25th, Claudio Augusto in the Ligier Lamborghini. And that's it. There's 25 cars. So somebody is missing from the grid, did not return.
There were presumably a technical issue.
All right. So the cars are now lining up on the grid, and you're looking there right at Cesarius Slipinski. Interesting that the pole car lines up on the left-hand side of the screen here, the right-hand side of the grid, because that would seem to be not the best place to be to enter the corner first. But then again, if you sweep around the outside, I suppose it is. All right. Here we go. Ready? Stand by for the start of the French Grand Prix. And the race is underway. Lots of smoke. And look at Ray Radal. He's got a flyer. Oh my goodness, somebody's already lost a wing. Rhône-Poulenc takes the lead. Cesarius is in second place. As they come through, oh my goodness, we got Lewis Wedding. Lewis Wedding is in this.
Yep, Lewis Wedding is off. And
he's in the sand trap, so not a good start for Lewis at all, which is a real disappointment after qualifying third. Here they come down to the hairpin, and it is Rhône-Poulenc in the lead, but look out, there's cars side by side. Grant trying to advance there. It's very easy to have a, baller, some cones, not bollards, cones going there with some cars running off the track.
Ooh, Rob de Vries and Dari Appa has contact there as Rob tries to rejoin and Appa gives him no room. That was, by the way, Gabriele Del Piccolo's front wing that was on the front stretch.
Well, as ever, Rhône-Poulenc's in the lead, Ślepinski's second. Bouchard is in third in the McLaren, so he benefited from all the melee going on there and advanced a few places. He started seventh. Jules Bouchard in third, as I said. Fourth is Grant Rhône-Poulenc. Fifth is David Saber. Sixth is Juha Boss. Seventh, Anders Nilsson. Eighth, John Tiemann. Ninth, Centurami. Janik enters the top 10 with his Lotus. So, if you look at this, Rhône-Poulenc's already pulling out a huge gap compared to the other cars. He's 2 seconds and change ahead of Cesarius as they finish the lap. Here he comes. Ray in first. Ślepinski in second. Bouchard third. Saber is fourth now. Grant Rhône-Poulenc down to fifth. Juha Boss sixth. Anders Nilsson seventh. John Team eighth. Centurami ninth. Brian Janik still in 10th. Lewis Wedding struggling there to get back some of the positions he lost, but so Ray had an excellent start, got off the line a lot quicker than Ślepinski did, so he had the start that he wanted to have. So now the question is, can Ślepinski mount an attack on Ray? If last race was any indication, he's got a tall order ahead of him because I don't know if you watched the Mexican race, but Ray was just the class of the field.
Indeed, someone else who's working on being the class of the field, or at least has had by far the best start in the race, is Rocha. Oh, under attack now again from Appa up the inside at 180. Rocha has gone from 20th on the start to 11th now.
Oh, you're right. He's actually right behind Dario Appa right now, and ahead of Luke Rosella in the footwork heart. Yep, there's Rocha. He's looking good. I mean, I think this is the farthest up he's been on the grid, or at least early in a race, in a long time. So here is Saber. We were talking about him earlier, and he's got a train of cars behind him here. I don't know what Saber's tire strategy is going to be this time. As you mentioned, it's probably not a good idea for him to try his no-stop strategy here, because the tires will take quite a beating, especially around that corner right there ahead of Gulf. It's all lateral pull. There's nothing to help you out there in the corner itself. But here he is braking for the turn. Isn't making too much of an as there goes Juha trying to get on the inside of Grant Rhône-Poulenc. Can't get it done. But Juha's looking particularly racy right now as well. So I think it's a bit early to suggest that Saber might be holding these cars up, but he's got a lot of hungry drivers right behind him, so he's going to have to be very, he's going to have 360-degree vision, let's put it that way.
Indeed. It is one of those eyes in the back of your head, side of your head, your normal one straight forward, and maybe even some on the top of your head.
Looking now from Grant Rhône-Poulenc's car is Dallara as they enter the final couple of turns here, and then the Lycée turn, the final turn. That's an awkward corner there because you're slowing down and then you have to launch right off it into the Grand Combe here. And it's really hard to get the power down. I saw when Ray was trying to advance his position in qualifying and get the pole back from Cesarius, he had 2 incidents and they were both at that same corner where he was trying to get the power down and the back end stepped out or something went wrong. So you got to be really careful there launching the car off of that corner because you are at very, very low speed, and all that horsepower going through the rear wheels, you can very easily loop the car at that corner.
I'd say there's 3 turns where that is very real issue. Adelaide, that I believe you talked about there. 180 where you're sort of accelerating while you still have the wheel turn, and also up at Chateau d'Eu, which is also a very difficult corner to apply power correctly. Meanwhile, down in the pit lane as well, Richard Wilkes was in for quite lengthy repairs. Gabriele Del Piccolo, we saw without front wing, has had the car repaired. Oh, Slapinski has retired.
Yeah, I just noticed that. I was looking at the top, at the bottom of the order and realized, oh shoot, something's not right here. He's gone. What happened to Slapinski? He's in the garage. I have no clue what happened to him. We're going to see if we can find out here. But I was busy watching the second, third, fourth, and fifth place cars. There are cars in the pits needing repairs, a Leighton House most notably, and a Lotus. But not entirely certain what happened to Cesarius there. But this is... Oh, here it is. Okay, we found it. Here is Cesarius. He's coming through the turns that follow... Or no, he's going through the 180. He's going through the 180, exits the corner, and he's gone. It's a disco, it looks like. Unbelievable. Well, that's incredible. He qualifies on the pole, and now his race is over. And Janik, okay, that was the car that was in the pits. Janik was in 10th, but had some kind of an incident. And now he's all the way down in 23rd position. So something went wrong for Janik on one of the last few laps there. But
on the second lap for him.
Yeah, I know.
Happened. Same for Oscar Tim, who's also in the pits, currently still having repairs done.
Well, Ray is really loving this because now he's got a nice big cushion between himself and Jules Bouchard, who's probably still learning this car. Although he did do quite a lot of practice laps before the race weekend even began. So we'll see what happens here, but. Again, Ray Radal in the lead. Slapinski out of the race, an apparent disco. Jules Bouchard is in second. David Saber up to third now in the 643. We should go back there because Jules Bouchard is pretty much driving on his own right now. He doesn't have anybody attacking him. But David does not seem to be making much headway here, and he's got a lot of cars behind him here. So this is where the real action is at the moment. First and second are pretty solid at the moment, but Saber is trying to hold off Grant Radal directly behind him, and also there's like a whole look. He's getting close to him now, but this is definitely a volatile situation. Grant looking up the inside. Is he going to take David Saber in the corner? No, he brakes and just barely avoids hitting David Saber's left rear tire. My goodness! So Grant is getting impatient behind David Saber here. He wants by because he knows that for every lap that he's not by David Saber, he's losing time to the front of the field. Because most top-end drivers will think that way. They'll not be thinking about the guy that's right in front of them holding them up. Well, they will be, but they'll be thinking, this is bad, not because I'm not in the position he's in, but because I'm losing time to the front of the field, correct?
Quite so, and saying that, Bouchard now did a Åcerclinth has retired, and Bouchard did the fastest lap of the race last time by.
Well, I'd say it's good for the broadcast because it means we might have a race on our hands at the front of the field here. We'll see what happens, but Bouchard hasn't quite made any inroads on the lead just yet. But here they are coming down to the hairpin once again. There's Saber exiting the hairpin with all these cars behind him. So
battle will happen on the straight you were just on. Drexler and Wedding. Wedding trying to make his way up, and Wittmann holding on, trying to find an opportunity as well.
Yeah, once you've made a mistake, especially at the start of the race, it is very important, very critical that you...
Wedding up to 12.
Okay, so Lewis is making up some ground here, but when you've been in an accident at the start of a race, Obviously, that's not what you want to have happen. But if you've been in an accident, it is very critical that you put that accident behind you and try to just mentally move on. It's not easy, but Wedding is doing a pretty good job of it so far. He's clawing his way back up to 12th, and if there's attrition in this race, he may find that he can get a points-paying position towards the end of the race. But you know, he also seems to be very quick in this car, even if he's back in 12th. So maybe he can pick up some spaces on his own. In any event, oh, look at this. Dario Apa is right with Rocha for 10th place here. This is very close, interesting racing right now. And it looks like Dario might be looking for a way to get by. On board with Dario Apa, he just backs off a little bit here. Oops, Rocha went into the gravel there. And now they're heading down to Golf, and they're going to be heading for that hairpin. Dario is way too far back to make an attack right now. But he certainly... Oh, he locks up the front. So he doesn't want to do that too much. But he seems to have the measure on Rocha as far as pace goes. He just has to find the right time to get by. Okay, look at this. He might have a shot here. He's looking on the outside. Oh, you just didn't have the right space there. Oh! Almost runs right into the back of Rocha. He's got to watch it here. He doesn't want to take off his... oh, he locks up the front and almost went into the gravel there, Jonathan. I think Dario has to check his enthusiasm here just a smidge.
Quite so.
Yeah. Up to the Chateau d'Eau they come. And yeah, he's really chomping at the bit. He wants to get by Rocha, get into the top 10. But he doesn't want to take both cars out in the process. Into the final series of turns here. And it's interesting because prior to this point, I don't think we've had two drivers in the McLaren team that have really been able to do much with the cars. We had Francisco Amaral, who is actually, he is a very fast driver. And I forget who was the other driver in the other McLaren, but for some reason they just weren't producing results or getting good qualifying situations. Now suddenly we have two different drivers in the team, and they seem to be able to extract more out of the cars than the previous two drivers. So maybe we'll actually start to see Marlboro cars towards the front of the field like we're used to seeing.
Could very much be the case, and our qualifying surprise in the form of Lewis Wedding just set the fastest race lap so far.
Wow! Well, there you go.
He is chasing after Upper here. 11 seconds left to gain, but
well,
he'll
still,
be trying it.
That's great. That tells us right there that his car is not damaged, and that he's in good race trim. And he's ready to claw back that space that he lost. Meanwhile, here's Grant still working at the back of David Saber as they end another lap to start lap number... We're already on lap number 10 now, surprisingly. 72 laps in this race. So, if we look a little further forward, Bouchard still in second place. Doesn't seem to be making many inroads on the leader. He may just be conserving his car right now, waiting for that first pit stop to see what happens. He might be thinking to himself, if I can just keep Ray in sight, then, you know, that's good. You know, if he starts to pull away, we might see Bouchard take a few more chances. But in any case, this is a very interesting shakeup in the championship with Bouchard now driving a car that he really likes and can extract some good speed from. So only two cars out of the race so far, Sirignano and Ślepinski. Ślepinski being the one that really shocked us because it was a disco after he was on the pole, so he will finish dead last after starting on the pole. It's really, really unfortunate for him. But hardware failures do happen. Part of sim racing, as much as like engine failures or suspension pieces breaking in real life would be.
Yeah, just ask, I think it was Little Al in one of the Indy 500s had a 25 pence piece sideline him for the rest of the race. And I would say, looking at I've just been following a lap here with Jules, and based on what I'm seeing, I'd say that Jules has gone with a fairly high downforce setup for the race, while I believe Ray is running a less heavy downforce setup, because down the straights, Ray is just pulling a little bit every single straight, and then as soon as they get to, say, the hairpin and the chicanes, Juha just goes, I'll have that time back a little bit, thank you.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I mentioned earlier that this could be a compromise setup race. I mean, if you choose to put in more wings to get some more speed in the curves, you're obviously going to be giving away speed on the straight. On the other hand, if you are going with lower wings to get that straightaway speed, you're going to have a really sketchy car in the corners. The cars that can get away with putting more wing in obviously are the ones with the most power, and the Renault engine that Ray is enjoying here is definitely one of the more powerful ones on the circuits, but so is the Honda engine. So
yeah, hence why I'm saying I think Jules has a bit more wing on the car.
Yeah.
In behind as well now, it's really close. Grant, I think, is going for... Ooh! Had a really serious look on Sabre into Lycée.
Well, I think it's... I haven't been watching the gap, but the gap now between Jules Bouchard and Sabre it's 5 seconds. Oh my goodness, look at that! There goes Grant off into the kitty litter. Closure rate surprised him there, and he had to slam on the brakes. We've seen that with a bunch of people, that if you have to slam on the brakes, their front wheels lock, and it causes a problem. Here's a replay. Grant Riddall heading through the first turn. He's looking for a way to get by, and the closure rate surprised him there. He had to slam on the brakes, and he gets into the kitty litter. Thankfully, he didn't hit anything, and he's able to continue. But that basically, man, I'll tell you what, I'll tell you who's breathing a sigh of relief right now is Sabre, because that basically gives him a bit of a break from the constant assault that he was under by Grant. It's going to take a bit, but I'm thinking that Juha will eventually get up to where Dave is and start working at the back of him in place of Grant Riddall. But that was another of those close quarters situations where it seemed like Grant was surprised, and he just had to take evasive action to avoid hitting Sabre.
Yeah, I think both surprise, and also the reason he even got to that position is because he has, compared to the Ferrari with, I think, around at least 700, I think it's almost 800 horsepower in the race engine. I think Grant with the Yud is enjoying a 50 or so horsepower deficit. So he really needed to try and get everything he could out of Estoril to try and stick close enough to then have a shot at Adelaide.
The Ferrari engine right now is putting out 692 horsepower, brake horsepower, and the Dallara Judd is putting out 640. So there you go.
Yeah,
there's
roughly 50 horsepower difference then.
Yeah, there's the difference right there. So Sabre's going to have a little bit of time to just breathe. Meanwhile, Grant did not fall too far back with that excursion into the kitty litter, and he's now right on the back of John Team, a guy who actually started on the outside of the front row last week, or the last race in Mexico. Didn't make much out of that qualifying effort, but it's worth mentioning because John is not a slouch in this Leighton House Ilmore. He is actually very quick, and these are probably two very well matched cars with two V10 engines, one an Ilmore, one a Judd, and they're both decent handling cars too. So I would say that this could provide an interesting battle here with Grant crawling all over the back of John Team now.
Yeah, I'd say the Ilmore enjoys a little bit more slipperiness in a straight line, but to counteract that, David Sabers is the fastest race lap now.
Okay, that's very interesting.
The Dallara enjoys a bit more downforce in the turns, so definitely a give and take situation here.
Adrian Newey obviously had moved on to Williams since this point, but his, the car I think is a legacy of his thinking. When you look at the shape of the Leighton House, it's very slippery, very slim car in a straight line, and that's probably where it's gaining some advantage in a straight line. But yes, downforce would definitely help Grant Riddall in this section, for example.
And Wedding has caught Appa, but been sitting behind him for 5 or so laps. And as Appa makes a outbreaks himself, Wedding does the same, and it looks like it's going to be status quo.
My goodness, let's take a look at a replay of this. Wedding had actually gone off the road there for a minute, but they come down to the Adelaide hairpin. Apa broke too late, and Wedding went down the inside, and there was contact there, and then Apa got the position back on the outside when Wedding had to brake. So, yeah, a little bit of contact there, but probably won't affect either car too much.
Sabre on the charge, not a fastest lap.
Wow.
2 laps in a row.
Well, that answers our question about the 643, at least right now. Sabre definitely likes this car currently, but it's got fresher tires than it's going to have down the line. And we'll see what happens here for Sabre riding on board with him now. You can see the Ferrari VIN plate on the left there. The power plant for this car is the same as the previous car, so there's no advancement there. There will be advances in horsepower as the season progresses, but this is a completely new chassis. And you can see just ahead of him there, Jules Bouchard. So David is starting to close. And here comes one of the Brabhams that Bouchard has to lap, Dante Barbera, and Barbera makes the room. This is not that. It's kind of a medium-sized circuit. This one, 2.6 miles around. It's not so. We're going to be encountering lapped cars. About now is when I would expect us to be starting to encounter the bulk of them. You can see the Brabham just in front of Sabre here. He's getting bottled up behind him, losing some time, but there Dante makes the room for him. Good job. And David is now clear of Barbera. And he's got another... The main visual cue that makes the Ferrari look different from the 642 is the radiator inlets. They're much larger on the 643. The 642, they were like very, very narrow rectangles that funneled down in the front of the side pods. In the 642. The 64, and if you look at the 643, and you have a good opportunity to do this right now, comparing it to the McLaren just ahead, you'll notice that it's very, very close in terms of shape to the McLaren. Maybe a tad bulkier in some places, but clearly they were taking notes from the Colnbrook group.
Well, it's almost always been you see something work, let's see if we can copy it.
Yep.
Just look at modern F1. I think it was the nowadays Aston Martin that was almost a carbon copy of McLaren.
Yeah.
No, not the McLaren. The Mercedes. Back in the 10th, 11th, and 12th, 11th and 12th, Appa and Wedding has caught up to Rocha, who is running surprisingly slow here.
Yeah, here's Rocha, and Apa is right on his back door, trying to, he's knocking, but Luciano won't let him come in. He's defending himself very well here, but at some point, there goes Apa up the inside. He's trying to gain a foothold there. He might have actually got it. He's on the outside going into turn 1. Can he sweep across?
Side by side here.
Luciano defends himself beautifully there. There just wasn't the room, but Apa's not done. He's still very close. He wants to try to make an attack here at the end of the straight, it looks like, but he's dropped back a little bit. But you can see, yes, that Wedding is definitely catching these two. So here comes Apa up the inside. Looks like he's going to get him this time. He does. Apa up to 10th place. Rocha trying to counterattack but cannot. Rocha down to 11th. And Lewis Wedding is right there in 12th with these two, so we'll see what happens. But that was a very good copybook pass by Apa. He just took the car to the inside, broke a little bit later. Wedding trying to go on the inside at the 180 at Rocha, but backs out of it very wisely. He wasn't going to make that overtake. There just wasn't the room there, but a very good copybook pass by Apa. Just breaking a bit later on the inside, taking the line away. That's how you do it in this form of racing. And oh, look at this Wedding, man, elbows out. He's just trying to shoulder his way past Rocha, and he's almost got it done here. He's on the inside line going into this corner. Oh, there's contact between the two of them. Hopefully that didn't cause any damage, but Wedding is now in 11th place. Rocha's lost 2 places in this lap to both Wedding and Dario Apa. So, meanwhile, almost gone unnoticed, but Luciano Rocha's in 9th with the footwork Hart. So apparently that car is working pretty well with the brand new power plant. And he has a chance to make up some more places here as he's right behind Centurami. Team Cam McKeels is a lap down. So yeah, this is now a footwork Ford. Very different sound than we're used to hearing. There are other cars that have, oh my goodness, KO got a bit skittish there, but was able to get out of the way. That could have ended poorly, but did not, thankfully.
Less than 3 seconds is now covering top 3, so it is closing up between them.
Well, where it's really closing up is at the front of the field. You look at Ray. Here's Ray in first place as he enters golf. And there's second place and third place. Second and third place are very close together now, way closer together than they were before. So we could have a battle for second place. In fact, I think we have one starting right now. Sabre, with those 2 fastest laps that he recorded, is right with Bouchard, and he's going to be alongside him. Going into that turn, is he going to try? No, he backs out of it. Good move on the part of Sabre. I don't think that was a smart place to try to overtake Bouchard. Bouchard's the kind of guy that will hold his ground, and he's not easy to pass, so I don't think that was a smart place. I think you'll probably see David try a pass at the hairpin or something a little bit more conventional that he knows is going to work, but he's certainly faster than Bouchard at this stage of the race with those 2 fastest laps you mentioned. So this is actually playing right into the hands of the points leader, Ray Radal, because he's probably looking in his mirror going, okay, you guys go at it and have some fun. I'm just going to hang up here and you know, just keep leading without much stress. I'll let you 2 stress out back there and I'll be fine up here.
He's certainly a cool customer, is Ray, so...
Oh yeah, you should have seen his drive at Mexico. He didn't put a foot wrong the entire race. He made absolutely 0.0 mistakes in that drive.
Indeed, but I will say now he has people way closer to him, so the pressure should be bigger.
Look at this! Look at Sabre! He's going to the right! That's interesting, because it looked as if... That's strange. It looked like Bouchard slowed for a little bit there in the middle of the straightaway. I can't explain that, but Sabre's up to second place now. Let's look at that in a replay. From Jules's point of view, he seems okay now. Something's odd there because he wasn't actually at full chat, and Sabre just sailed by. That's weird. It's almost like Jules conceded the spot on the straightaway. I don't know what that was about, but in any case, Sabre is now clear of Jules Bouchard, and now his objective will be to close down on Ray Radal. Ferrari never won a race in 1991. In fact, oh my goodness, Ray just had David had a slight moment there. He blocked up the fronts, but he stayed on the track. Now he's got a couple of cars. He's got one car that he has to lap here. It's a it's a Modena Lamborghini. It's often called a Lamborghini by people because Lambo had a lot more to do with the project than they were originally intended to, because Modena didn't pay the bills on time. So they had to shore up the team. That's what I understand. But in any case, so Jules is down to third, and now Sabre is going to set off, I'm sure, to try to close the gap on Ray. The gap right now is 1.5 seconds. So we'll see what happens here. There's a yellow flag in this corner for some reason. I don't see anybody off the track. Oh, there is. There's a Leighton house that's off the track back there. Not sure who that is. Let's see if we can identify it.
That would be Oscar Tim, I believe.
Oh man,
Already a few laps down.
if Oscar didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. It's really unfortunate because
He is now retired.
Yeah, Oscar out of the race.
I would imagine he hit the curb a bit too hard, and the car snapped around on him, and he didn't get to the clutch in time, and it effectively stalled the engine for him.
Well, it's too bad. In any case, Saber's second now, and he's trying to close down, and he's actually now he's got one car he's got to deal with, a LaRousse, and he gets around it there, and now he's back in contact. The gap is closing down. The gap is now a little less than a second between himself and Ray Riddall, so we may have a race for the lead on our hands here in a second. Very interesting French Grand Prix so far. At first, it looked like Saber was struggling just a tiny bit in the 643, but now he's really gotten the bit between his teeth, and now looks like he's challenging for the lead. He admittedly was given second place by Bouchard. Bouchard didn't put up a fight for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe he was distracted by something in the car or something hardware-wise where he's at. In any case, now Saber's going to see if he can get by the leader and take the lead here. I mentioned before that Ferrari didn't win any races in 1991. The last win that they had was at Spain in 1990 with Alain Prost.
Oh, Upper. Upper looks to be in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Engine off.
Uh-oh.
I believe that may very well be an engine failure for the McLaren.
Oh, that's too bad because he was looking really good. Maybe he needs more time in this car to find where the top end is. Yeah, the engine dies right there. That's it. Engine dead for Dario Epa. That's really unfortunate because he was looking good, driving a little bit, maybe over his head a couple of times, but certainly might have expected to have a nice race. But that's just too bad. I'm sure we'll see more of him though in this car going forward, if in fact he takes the full-time drive. This was actually, I think, just a guest drive, but we'll see what happens going forward if he decides to grab that car full-time. Luke Rosella now is 8th as a result, and we have Sundarami 7th and John Tiemann 6th. I think that's where they were. Grant Riddall in 5th.
That would be the case, yes.
Okay, we have another yellow flag here at the hairpin, so more craziness going on. I don't see it on my monitor, but I figured there'd be a lot of hargy-bargy going into the hairpin on lap 1, but thankfully it wasn't the kind that cost anybody parts. That happened actually at the first corner, which surprised me. Yeah, Epa is now the 4th DNF in this race to join Oscar Team, Salvatore Sirignano, and Slapinski. All right, so actually, Bouchard's lost a bit of time here. The gap opened up considerably since we last looked at it. It's now 5 whole seconds between. Bouchard. Wait a minute. Where's David Saber?
Was that Saber often? I'll have a. Oh, Saber in the pits already.
He's in the pits.
Let's see. I'll have a look to see if that's due to. Oh, it looks like that's a long stop.
He must have had something happen to him because that's a long stop. But he's in the pits. He must have had something happen to him because it's taking way too long. Oh, what a disaster for David, because he clearly had the speed to challenge the leader. I was looking at there, and then I realized the gap had changed, and then it hit me. Wait a minute, that's Bouchard. So where's David? Oh, this is really too bad. David is all the way down to 15th place now, and he's going to continue to drop through the field. 16th now. This is really unfortunate. 17th now. He's moving now, but that's going to effectively put a binder on or just destroy any chance he had of doing well. That's really bad. But he can be encouraged by the fact that he is fast in the car, and we could see him do quite good at Hockenheim, where speed is king.
That was due to miscommunication, it looks like, between him and Bruno Chacon going into Imola. Well, it looked like Saber wanted to follow Chacon through the chicane, and Chacon wanted to try and let Saber through and lift it early. and contact was duly made due to the miscommunication.
Well, sometimes when you're trying to help another driver, you can actually do damage because a driver may not be expecting you to take a certain avoiding action, and we've seen that happen before in Formula One, oftentimes with very, very bad results. In any case, Bouchard is now back into second place, but as mentioned, the gap is, the gap is actually decreasing a little bit. No, actually, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. The gap is still about 5 seconds between himself and Ray Radal, so it looks like we're going to have to wait until the pit stops to see if anybody can really advance at the front. But in the meantime, Juha Boss is enjoying a third place at the moment, thanks to all the attrition at the front, and he is being followed.
But he's held up now.
Yeah, he's held up now by the LaRue. He's got Nilsson and Grant Radal right behind him. He gets by the LaRue and actually puts it between himself and the other two, so they got to find a way around. It looks like they both did just now. Yes, they did. So why Del Piccolo chose to go up the inside there, I don't understand, because he was being lapped. In any case, so yeah, Boss is now clear of the traffic, and so is Nilsson and Grant. So this trio running together here, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But Boss definitely, and Nilsson and Grant, the beneficiary here of some attrition. Then you've got in sixth place, just in the points, John Team with the Leighton House Ilmore. In seventh place is Giovanni Centrami. He started in 10th, so he's up 3 places. And up 7 places is Luke Rosella in 8th place, driving the footwork with the new Hart engine.
And I'd say he's driving way above what that car should be able to do.
Probably.
Luke is a really good peddler.
Yeah.
And he is, I mean, he's within a few seconds of points around this place. That is really, really impressive in that car.
There goes Lewis Wedding, who is in 9th place now. So he is getting some of his places back just through attrition, but also he's moving quite quickly. Rocha is in 10th. 11th, Mikael Drexler, who almost runs off the... oh my goodness! He spins right at the opening of the pit lane. And he manages to keep the car running, and he looks like he's going to rejoin with no problem. Okay. But no!
In front of him as well.
Oh my goodness, he had to stop because Dante Barbera was right in his way.
Ooh.
There goes Drexler. And Whitman also having... oh my goodness, more problems for... goodness, Dante Barbera is spinning in the first turn trying to get the car righted, and that was like 3 loops in succession that he did there. I don't know what's going on there.
That's actually, I believe that's actually both Brabhams retired. Barbera with those spins and Mick Heels as well.
He's trying 3-point turns to get the thing back going again, but all he's doing is succeeding in just spinning the thing like a top. And then he decided to retire. I don't know what was going on there. Maybe he had a suspension piece damaged or something, and it was, or a half shaft, because if one of those goes, then all the power goes to one wheel.
Could be. Michiels had a moment going through Grand Courbe, entered a bit, and took just a slightly wrong line, hit the curb on the outside, and the car stopped.
Wilkes will be doing the pits shortly. He's missing a front wing. My goodness. So this is a race that, well, there's another yellow flag here. More cars going off the track. I can't quite see it here. There's somebody that looked like they were off the track.
Like I said, this track gives you no time to rest.
No, it really doesn't.
Eventually, you'll just run out of energy here.
Yeah, it looks like it's a very tiring circuit. Not just in terms of... I mean, we're not going to experience it because it's just a sim, but I'm sure that for the drivers, this was very tiring for the neck muscles, especially the curve. I would really think that was something that suffered a lot going through. I mean, some of these turns have produced very high G loads, and I could see it being a real problem in a real-life scenario, but mentally focusing definitely is something that is going to be hard for our drivers, as here we have Luke Rosella closing in on Giovanni Centorami. This is a battle for 7th place, and Team is just ahead. So we have these 3 all together here on the track at once. So
fighting
yeah,
for one single point.
well, you know, Alberto always tells me that the two most
yeah.
contested places in a Grand Prix are third place, which is because everybody wants to be on the podium, and sixth place because it's the last points-paying position. So there you go. So yeah, these people are going to be really fighting for it. I mean, it's great that they're all in the top 10, but they want to see their name on the points chart with something other than a 0 next to it. All right, so they're all three of them in a 180 now, and now heading back the other way on the circuit.
And well, third is hot as well with Nilsson on course and Riddle keeping watch as well.
Yeah.
And at the front, it is definitely closing in again. Juha is closing up to Ray, little by little, lap by lap. Looks like over a full lap, Juha is currently just
he's actually
1, 2, 3 tenths quicker a lap.
He's actually cut the time in half, Jonathan. It's down to 2.5 seconds. It was 5 seconds before. So he's cut into Ray's lead. Now, Ray may simply be just resting the car. We don't know. But in any case, the gap is getting smaller. There's Ray. I have a hard time believing that Ray's having a problem because he's had no contact with anybody since the...
Oh, and Nilsson up to third.
Nilsson now gets up to third around Juha Boss. So there's a change for the podium position. Let's look at a replay.
Wow. Final turn, Lycée, what a move.
Oh, you got him in
replay, yeah.
At Lycée, okay, that makes sense. Because he already
Going
had
around
him.
that side of him.
He already had him by the time that they got to the hairpin, so that makes sense that it was at Lycée. Yeah, Bouchard slowly closing in, 2 seconds now, 2.1 seconds, so the gap is coming down considerably. At some point here, we're going to have to start thinking about tire stops. We're at lap 29 now, going into lap number 30. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the cars heading into the pit lane at some point here. There's no gear.
Blue winning is on his way.
There's no gear icon for Ray or for Jules. Nilsson goes past the pits. Juha does too. So does Grant. John Team is going to continue, so the top 6 content to take another lap.
Yeah, this would be bang on for a 2-stop. And wedding continues still. Based on the pit crew getting ready, he should be coming in shortly.
Mm-hmm.
But he obviously at the moment has a clear track, so maybe just trying to make use of every bit of empty space and clean air that he can. When Nilsson clearly faster than Bors has opened up a gap, nearly a second now.
Well, that's interesting. Does appear that the Jordan is a good car to have around here. Yes, now Juha's got to deal with Grant Riddle at his back door. Grant was getting impatient earlier, trying to advance his position, and it caused him to have to roll off the circuit. So I'm sure this time, although he has a look, but no, not a good idea there, Grant. But he's right with Juha at the moment. Although, wait a minute, now he backs off all of a sudden. That's interesting. I wonder what's going on with Grant. He's going for the pits, but for some reason he slowed up a lot there and gave all kinds of space to Juha. I don't know what's going on.
He missed a gear.
Oh, he missed a gear. Okay. Well, he's going for the pits at any rate.
Yeah, I think that was in his mind he was already thinking of right, what am I doing in the pit lane and that just caused him to minutely miss getting the gear.
It must be hard to work your pit menu when you're driving this circuit because it's just, as you say, it gives you no rest. You really have no place to work that menu.
No, indeed. It is definitely all hands on deck for 90% 90 to 95%, pretty much. One place is obviously the straight going through golf.
Okay, so we should be seeing Grant peel off here into the pit lane. And he is. Grant goes into the pit lane. He's going to make his stop.
Oh, he's lucky no one was in the pits then. In the early pit slots, but let's see.
What does he got here for tires? I'm on the wrong end of the car here. Hang on. Blue A's. He's going with
so
A P0s.
So hard to see it. Hard tires, I believe that would be.
Well, this is a track that probably demands very robust tires. So there he goes, exiting the pits in 8th place.
So for now, Rosella up to 7th, Santorama 6th, Tim 5th. Oh, and Rosella really close to losing the car in S, the chicane after Adelaide.
Yeah, Rosella's 7th now, thanks to that pit stop by Grant. 6th for Santorami, 5th John Team, but everybody's going to have to probably stop unless they're trying some very, very novel strategy. Juha is now 4th after he was passed by Anders Nilsson. Bouchard and Ray are going for another lap. Nilsson goes for another lap, so does Boss. Here comes John Team. Is he going to go to the pits? Let's find out. The answer is no. And Santorami stays out as well. So Grant really the first taker for tires at the moment. So
it could be that he decided, okay, I'm being held up back here, so I'll take a harder set of tires, and because of the heat, it should work, and maybe it makes that his only stop. I believe we'll have to wait around 10 laps to get the next set of pit stops if they want to go just beyond halfway here.
Yeah, here comes Santorami looking up on the inside of Team. There's contact. Right rear to left front there. Hopefully, and the one who's more likely to have a problem with that is Santorami, but thankfully not much of a problem there. Hopefully no damage recorded.
I must say, I'm most impressed with Rosella getting through the hairpin then, because I'd imagine he's sitting back there just barely holding on, clapping his hands, going, yes, get at it, make a mistake, I want to get past.
Well, he's still got to make a stop too, and if there's more attrition at the front, he's definitely looking at a possible points-paying position. He actually had another race earlier this year where he was potentially a points-paying finish, but he got in a little bit over his head. Yellow flag in this section here. What are we looking at? Probably just people going into the pits.
Boss into the pits.
Boss into the pits. Yes. You are stopping. So, Team and Santorami advance. Rosella is in 7th place here and looks like he might also be in the pits. Yes, he is. Rosella in the pits. Another yellow flag. I think the yellow flags are just being tripped by the cars being in the pit lane.
Yeah, it's because the pit sector line is after the tight right-hander going into the pits.
Okay.
So because you're going so slow, the game says, oh, that's cool. Let's just throw out the yellow so no one gets in trouble here.
Rosella rejoins. Oh my goodness! Oh no! Oh no! Saber had a huge moment there. Let's look at a replay. He was coming through the final turn, and Luke Rosella was leaving the pit lane. Let's watch this again. This looks like a very scary situation here. He turns in, and there's Luke. Luke basically kind of forces him off to the right. I don't think Luke realized he was coming up on him. Well, Saber was going to the right-hand side, but ran out of room and went right off the track. The curbing launched him for a second there, but thankfully he was able to keep the car under control. So David Saber's eventful race continues. Goodness gracious. Okay, so the leaders are still at the front, no change. Giovanni Centorami showing pits now.
Yep, and something else to mind is Rosella, who just came out of the pits, has Wedding, who pitted a couple of laps earlier, right behind him. So Wedding gained some 10 seconds through all of that.
Wow, that's way more eventful than I think Centorami would have preferred. He's got Del Piccolo and another driver, and Wilkes is now trying to get through. What a good grief. That was a very eventful set of corners for Centorami, and it was with cars that he wasn't even battling with in terms of the serial scoring. But he manages to keep the car in one piece. All four corners are there, so Wilkes in 17th place. He's not part of this battle. And I think that there's a battle going on between Del Piccolo and whoever's in that AGS there, because they simply were not aware that Centorami was there. They just pretended like he wasn't even there. It's Whitman.
They are in an internal fight as well. Holy moly,
guys!
No!
God, it's like, you're trying to lap people, you're trying to get cleanly, into the pits, and that kind of stuff, you don't need as a driver. You don't need people paying no attention to what's going on. And we have I think that's Centorami. Yeah, Centorami actually made a mistake and is now coming in to the pits. Let's take a look at it.
Well, the mistake, as you will see in the replay, is that when Del Piccolo let Centorami past, he went right in front of Wittmann, who was braking as well for the turn, and Wittmann had to take avoiding action.
Well, Wittmann is behind him, and Del Piccolo all of a sudden heads back to the left-hand side of the track, forces Wittmann into the kitty litter. He runs right across the kitty litter and hits Centorami. Now, that's really, there's no excuse for this when you get down to it. I mean, come on. Here's a guy who's trying to, he's in the top 5. He's trying to overtake you. You're having your own battle, granted, but you got to be more careful than that. You've got to be more sensible than that. We're not racing against bots.
Centorami lost his front wing and that didn't realize, so the guys in the pit lane didn't repair it because he didn't have it.
He's all the way down in 11th place now, and you're right, he's going to have to make another stop because 2 guys couldn't be bothered to make some room for him because he was on the leader lap. I gotta say, I'm not impressed with that at all. It's not cool at all.
Indeed, a shitty set of circumstances there. I'd say it's difficult to portion blame as such because, as you say, they were fighting as well and Wedding.
But I mean, at some point you got to, and more action here at the final turn. I can't see what happened there, but somebody went off.
But the thing is with that battle is that. The fact that Del Piccolo decided, I'll go back to Racing 9 when he knows he has someone he's battling right behind him, that's not smart at all.
Well, I don't understand why Del Piccolo went immediately back to the left again. He had to have known that if he knew, it's either he didn't know that Wittmann was there, or he knew he was there and was trying to block him, neither of which are good.
Indeed, and Wittmann at the same time maybe should have broken just a little bit earlier because he had 2 cars side by side going into that chicane. And it's
all right.
Like I said, it has the shitty set of circumstances. Some battles are still on though.
Well, while we were watching that set of silly circumstances, Ray Riddall pitted, so he's down in 3rd now. The lead is now given to Bouchard, and 2nd place is held by Anders Nilsson. Ray is down to 3rd here, but if things play out the way he wants...
It's on his way to the pit lane by the looks of things.
If things play out the way Ray wants to, he'll cycle back to the front. We'll see what happens here.
We'll see in a moment. I can have a guesstimate at the situation. I just need to double check the gap between them at this point in time. 22 seconds. Ooh, if Bouchard has a really good pit stop from his crew, he might just come out just ahead of Ray here, but he needs the pit crew to make a fantastic stop for him.
Here he comes into the pit lane. He needs a great stop.
Let's see, he was on hards. And looks like he is going to continue on the hards.
Yes, he is. Well, actually, he's got B's at the back. Yeah, he's got B's all the way around in the car.
Nope, he's Will Nilsson. Let's see. Here comes Ray out to the final turn. Looks like Bouchard should be able to come out in front of him. He does. Bouchard into the effective lead.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. I
so
suspected
Williams team with a scruffy pit stop.
It must have been a slow pit stop for Ray, if that's the case, because Bouchard is now well clear of. Yeah, you can see he made it out way ahead of Ray Riddall. So now Nilsson's going to have to pit at some point here, and that
with all of that as well, Santorama has retired, probably due to the damage picked up.
Yeah,
in all of that.
he was. That was just a. I mean, there was no. It seemed like one of those situations where he was going to be. Something was going to happen to him. It's just a matter of what, with all that action going on around him. So, and Wilkes is also out of the race, so he incurred damage in that situation as well. So, the retirements now: Ślepinski, Sirignano, Oscar Team, Dario Epa, Claudio Augusto, Dante Barbera, K.O. McKeels, and now Richard Wilkes joins that list. So this has been a tough race for a lot of people so far. And we've got... It's still a lot of racing yet to go. We've got 32 laps remaining.
Indeed. Wedding with one more stop to go ahead of Rosell at the moment, but that extra pit stop has raced. That's a fastest lap at a 24.3.
Well,
holy moly, what a blaster of a lap.
He's on fresh tires, and he is right now... and Bouchard almost runs off the track there at Golf, but he is less than a second behind Bouchard, so we're effectively looking at the battle for the lead here, because eventually Anders is going to have to come in for his stop.
Unless he is actually trying a no-stop, knowing that's his chance of taking a win.
I highly doubt it.
That would be brave, but I wouldn't put it past Anders.
I highly doubt that's the situation because of the way he's been competitive so far. The car's been very quick. If you run harder tires, you're inevitably giving up some performance. But in any case, this is the effective race for the lead here. The gap is roughly a second between Jules Bouchard and his brand new ride with McLaren and the series points leader Ray Riddall. So we're looking at a really I guess you would say a stonker of a match coming up here between these two. One after Nilsson takes his stop, which one would assume
getting ready now.
One would assume is going to be soon. Yes, he has got his wrench icon on, so he will be passing the lead to Jules momentarily.
Unless Ray gets past him in this lap, because Ray set another fastest lap at 23 is now the fastest lap time, 23.9.
Wow!
Absolutely flying in this Williams.
Yeah,
it did seem like early in the race that he was able to effectively just say, "Nah, you're getting too close." Blew 2 quick laps in. And pulled away from Bouchard, and Bouchard with a lockup there into Adelaide. Now this is getting close. And Louis Wedding with the fastest lap, 24.1. Happy hour arriving here around the track.
I'm actually really, as a side note, very happy. I made a guess on digital, on output settings for the thing, and I think we have a clearer picture than we normally do because of my increased internet speed. I finally found the right formula. So hopefully everybody's enjoying that as Anders makes his stop. Let's see what he has here for tires. He's going with hard tires as well. B's. And here he comes out of the pits. One of the LaRussas is in also. But that drops Anders down to third. Hands the lead to Jules Bouchard. And here comes Ray Riddall. It's a 0.5 second gap already. Buckle up. Here we go. This is for the win, ladies and gentlemen.
I think that's Ray's passing opportunity whenever he gets close enough. Which will be difficult because Estoril is a very fast turn, but if any car can make that work behind the McLaren, that's the Williams.
Yep.
Meantime, Nilsson got out ahead of Bos, so Nilsson retains third in the race, and Grant giving Juha the big hurry up at the moment, because he can see that Nilsson is not too far ahead.
So this is looking like it's going to be a fantastic scrap here. Jules just ahead of Ray.
Grant close enough. Grant might be going for a move here. Oh, things better.
Ooh. Careful, careful. You don't want to be putting too much of a tire on these curbs, by the way. It's not a good idea. You saw what happened to Sabre earlier. It launched the car. So, got to be careful.
Oh, he's close enough. He's going for it.
He's going to go for it up the inside. Is he going to get it? Oh, my goodness. Shades of Jody Scheckter and Emerson Fittipaldi at Le Castellet in 1973. But Boss maintains fourth place. So that was a very elbows-out move from Grant Riddall, but it didn't work. Juha held his ground.
That HBA 5 Ford is really pulling down the straight, so Grant needs to try something elsewhere than Adelaide, because look at this, the distance Juha pulls.
Actually, I mean, the HB engine that the Benetton enjoys, and I'm guessing it's the same. I'm looking at my notes right now. It's 705 horsepower for both that and the Jordan, so it is a very powerful engine for both these cars, despite the fact they're giving up 2 cylinders to the Renault and 4 to the McLaren. So it's a very fast power plant. All right.
The Ford boys has always known how to make some fast engines.
Yes.
Some Ford tuners more than others.
All right, so the gap is actually opening slightly between Bouchard and Ray. Now it's closing. It's still around. It's hovering between 0.6 and 0.4 of a second, depending on where they are on the track. But Ray definitely has a bit between his teeth, and he sees Bouchard there. They're coming up now to lap one of the back markers. We'll see who it is when we switch to it is Rob de Vries in the Modena Lamborghini as they enter the hairpin. So Ray definitely suddenly has a new factor to consider in his championship run. A McLaren that is being driven by one of the better drivers in our league, Jules Bouchard, Canadian, who did excellent in the 1986 F1 series we completed last year, and started out this year with the Jordan team. Didn't really get on too well with the car, didn't like it very much. Saw the opportunity to switch to McLaren once the cars were vacated, and now he's making the most of it in the lead here. But he has to defend himself against one of the savviest people in the league as well, Ray Riddall. Right with him now, but still having to I don't know, it still looks as if he's really having to push hard to stay close to Jules. We'll see how this plays out. They both have fresh rubber, they both made stops, fuel load's coming down, so, and here's Ray actually giving up. It's now, he was almost up to a second there as they entered the 180, but now it's coming back down again. Nilsson's a little further back from this group. He's 10 seconds adrift of the battle for the lead. And then Boss still with Grant Riddall behind him. That was a brilliant defense that Boss put up at the final turn, Lycée. And Lewis Wedding, after the unfortunate start that he had, finds himself, after all the stops and everything, in 6th place. If he could come away with a points finish, I'm sure that would really take some of the sting out of the start that he had.
Indeed, but I believe he has one more stop, considering how early he stopped. So
you're thinking he's on you're thinking he's on a 2-stopper.
He stopped a good 10 laps before everyone else. So
that's right. Yeah. So
it is like 10 laps, give or take about 10 laps before the leaders. So he could be struggling, but he's really flying at the moment. Fastest lap at 23.8 for Wedding.
Meanwhile, Team is in 7th place, John Team, and Luke Rosella is not that far back in 8th place. Very good run for Luke in this newly configured Footwork Heart car. And Luciano Rocha is in 9th place. Had some difficulties earlier trying to maintain his position, but with all the attrition, he's got a top 10 finish on the plate here. And 10th is Drexler, very quietly making his way up the field. 11th is David Saber. So David has made up a lot of space, but clearly not enough to get back to where he was. 12th, Rob DeVries. That's very interesting. Rob is giving the Modena Lamborghini quite a nice run here. Brian Janik, after his long pit stop that he had, is 13th. 14th is Mark Whitman. 15th, and spun around, is Gabriel Del Piccolo, and the engine is emitting black smoke. So that looks like another retirement. Yes, he's out of the race. Let's see what happened in a replay. It looks like he spun initially right in front of, my goodness, it was in the 180 and right in front of Luke Rosella. And Luke, fortunately, stayed on the outside and went through. That was very close. My goodness. And I see what happened. Gabriel was going for a J turn. It was making a turn to rejoin, and the engine blew. So evidently it was close to blowing already, and just revving it really high blew the engine. So that was the end of the race for Gabriel Del Piccolo, unfortunately. His nemesis, Mark Whitman, continues on in 14th. All right.
It would seem, as you've been going through the grid, I've been following Bouchard and Vidal. It would seem like what I said before about the wings is definitely true. Bouchard seems to be running a little bit higher, Vidal a little bit lower. Bouchard with a bad run out of Estoril this time.
Chance here for Ray. Big chance here for Ray as he goes up the inside. No, he decides not to go for it here, But yeah, Bouchard actually clipped the dirt there on the left-hand side at Golf, and there was a good chance there, but Ray decided not to send it up the inside. That move doesn't seem to be working for many people anyway. The only thing you usually succeed in doing is getting your car damaged. Sun starting to set here at Magny-Cours. We still have quite a ways to go here. All right, heading into final turn here. Final series of turns. Bouchard locks up a right front there. So he's starting to feel the pressure. No question about it. Oh, look at this. He's got to run. Looks up the inside. No, he actually backed out of it really early. Wow, he might have had a shot there. What do you make of that?
Well, I think the only reason I can see to why he wants to sit behind is he should be able to save a little bit of fuel running in behind Bouchard, so maybe he's doing the good old, let's just make absolutely sure I have enough fuel for the rest of the race. I'll just sit back here for 5-10 laps and save a bit of extra fuel, and I can go by when I feel like it, seems like. Because based on the speed he has, it definitely looks like he should be able to go by when he wants to.
Yeah, it's just a matter of finding the right opportunity. Got another car here. Actually,
Bose misses a gear. Grant not able to make a run out of it though.
No. But man, they're still fighting back here, these two. Got to keep our eyes on this group as well. Boss and Grant Riddall. Grant really, really wants to get around him as they head to the final turn one more time. This is where he tried to get by before with a late braking thing. Is he going to do it again? No, not this time. He thought better of it this time. Okay, here comes Ray. He's taking another shot. Here he goes, down the inside. Is he going to get it done this time on the inside? No! Bouchard turns in and clips the left front of Ray Riddall, so hopefully that didn't cause either of them any damage. But Bouchard just turned right across him and was like, no, I am not going to concede this line. You've got to be all the way alongside me to make that work. So definitely Bouchard wants this win, and he's not going to let Ray get a foothold if he can help it.
Yeah, we all know Bouchard can be difficult to pass. He's a very aggressive driver. I'd almost akin him a little bit to one like Senna or Mansell, who were also known to be quite aggressive when fighting for position.
Well, you got two cars that are at the top of the heap in terms of technology in this series. So every inch counts, and you just try...
with a great opportunity, not able to make it work. Or maybe still.
Ray absolutely has the legs on the straight to get close to Bouchard, but not close enough. Meanwhile, Boss and Grant Riddall continue their battle.
Grant just tried to stuck his nose up the inside going through Grand Curb. I think he's getting a little bit desperate here.
Well, that would be in keeping with... You talk about a driver who's aggressive. Grant reminds me of, in a lot of ways, of Michael Andretti. Very, very aggressive driver. If he's not at the front, he's in the garage, it seems. You know what I mean? So...
Yeah.
But definitely he's not going to let Juha get off easy. He wants that fourth place. Nilsson, comparatively, is having a much easier time at the moment, running by himself in third place, which I'm sure he won't mind because it gives him a chance to just be calm and focus on driving well. Not the case with these two or with Boss and Grant Riddall. You got to be watching your mirrors all the time here. As now, this is an interesting situation. Not that I would suggest that anyone would play team tactics here. But the next car that's going to be lapped is, in fact, Mikael Drexler, teammate to Ray Riddall. But look at this. Okay, now what is Bouchard seemingly weaving there? What was that?
I'll have a little look-see on the replay.
I'm not sure what that was, but... if it was what it looked like, I'm kind of like thinking that's a no-no. You shouldn't be doing that. But Bouchard is clearly aware that Ray has the legs to catch him at the end of that straight, and that's really the one shot that he has of getting by, because Bouchard definitely handles better in this section of the track. Coming up to Drexler now is Bouchard.
Drexler doing just a little bit of following the rules as such that the lapping car needs to find a way past, not the other way around.
Well, he makes room there for Bouchard. Now he's got to get out of the way of his teammate.
Unfortunate for Ray.
Yeah, that actually put a lot of distance between Ray and Drexler. Or, I'm sorry, Bouchard.
Or Grant with a run around outside at Grand Curb, surely not.
Oh my goodness, very close. Juha maintains 4th place, but my goodness, Grant taking a lot of chances there.
Oh, and balls are all loose coming out of Estoril. This is Grant's chance. He's really close now. And Bors knows it, defends the inside.
He takes the inside line to defend, and that's probably going to be good enough. Yes.
Cut back.
That's a good defense there. Now, Grant coming up the inside. Has he got him?
Grant.
He's got him. Wow. Well, that was an excellent counterattack there. He was able to get by into 3rd place. Let's have a look at that in a replay. He's on the outside here because Juha has chosen the inside line to defend. They go into the corner. He goes. Is this called going for the cutback?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well there you go.
They break late.
There you go. So
you cut back on the exit and you just say bye bye.
Well, Grant, I got to say that was much more of a ballet type move than the elbows out stuff that they were trying earlier. But that brings Grant up into 4th place now.
Yep, so. And his aim now will be 10 seconds ahead of him is Anders Nilsson. That will probably be his aim.
Our leaders are still surrounded by traffic. They just dispensed with Bruno Chacon. Let's see if Ray tries again here as they come down to the hairpin. No, he's not going to try. They have another car in front of them. I believe it's a Dallara. It is.
That would be Roche and the Ferrari.
Oh no, it's actually a Ferrari. Okay, sorry, my apologies.
My broadcast assistant has just turned up.
Oh, meow.
Indeed.
All right, so Bouchard closing on Rocha here. It'll be another chance for Ray Ridal to find a way by, and Ray is right with him still. The gap is only a half a second. It stays about that much, and then Ray seems to find a way to get alongside heading into the Adelaide hairpin when he has a run, but hasn't been able to make it stick. The last time he tried it, Jules just turned right in. So
well, Rosella's engine has just blown.
Oh no. Well, that's unfortunate because Luke had a great run going. He's got to learn where the limits of that Hart engine are. As here comes Grant now. I'm sorry, Ray, looking for a way by. He's going up the inside. He backs out of it, and he had to because he was blocked out by Rocha. He was on the way. He was on the way to making a run up the inside down to the Adelaide hairpin, and Rocha was in the way. Not anything that Rocha did wrong. It's just solid car. He was already making room for Jules, so there was nothing that Ray could do there.
Indeed, and in behind, Nilsson sets a fastest lap, and then just mere seconds later, Grant says, you know what, I'm closing in on you. Did an even faster lap. So both of them now really going for it.
Yeah, Juha is actually in the garage now. So whatever happened there, I have no idea. He was in the pits and he's done. He's out. That's strange. I don't know what went wrong there.
I'll have a look and see if I can find out what happened.
Well, in any case, Lewis Wedding is up to 5th. 6th is John Team. Grant is 4th. Anders in 3rd. And, of course, we have the lead being scrapped for by Ray Ridal and Bouchard. There's Ray pulling up on... he's not going to do it here, obviously, but you can see how much he's able to pull up on the McLaren. on the straight.
For Juha, it seems the Ford power plant decided to implode, as I believe we are also joined by Mr. Boss.
Juha, sorry to see that you retired there. You had a great scrap going with Grant. He finally managed to find a way by that was not an elbows out move.
Well, I was expecting it to happen. I mean, the engine went over temperature permanently, so well, just give it everything because this thing was not going to last. I'm surprised it's a lap 50. So.
Well, we got a really interesting race at the front going on here between Bouchard enjoying the 12-cylinder power of his Honda and the leader of the championship, Ray Radal, who seems to be able to pull up on him when they get to the Adelaide hairpin, but just doesn't quite have enough to get by at this point. Here we go again for another lap, and looking backwards from Jules's car, and Ray is too far back to make an attempt here, but looks like you benefited from the attrition early on, Juha, and moved up the field pretty good.
Well, I think I was close to the front anyway. I mean, I think the only place I really almost Centurame is spinning. Sorry, Cesare's disconnecting. Sorry.
Yeah.
Apart from that, most of my places just ended up swapping because of pit stops or overtakes. So.
Are there any engine upgrades coming for you and Bruno in the coming races?
Good question. Well, I would like more power, but
yours is actually one of the more powerful engines on the grid. 705 brake horsepower compared to some others that are just cresting 690.
Yeah, well, you always want more.
You always want more. Well, we're sorry to see you out, Juha.
Both the leaders set fastest laps after each other there, by the way.
Yeah, the fuel load going down and the two very fastest cars in the mod. Great to see Jules and Ray extracting the very maximum from these cars, which were basically the state-of-the-art Formula One cars of their day. As Ray has a look up the inside, but thinks better of it. He keeps looking up the inside there, and he goes, I don't think so. But he certainly is staying with the leader. It could come down to the last few laps here.
Second, what Jason said there, Juha, condolences on the retirement, but good drive up until that point.
No, it was fun. That's the most important.
Yeah, because if this ain't fun, why are we doing it? Because God knows we're not getting paid to do it.
Quite so. In further back in 7th and 8th, there is a bit of a battle going on between two other fairly technically advanced cars, both with flappy paddle gearboxes. Roger in 7th and Drexler in 8th.
Well, this is interesting because Ferrari looked like they were going to have a really good day with
David Saber.
Yeah, David Saber qualifying so well, and actually he was setting fast laps and catching the leaders very quickly, but then unfortunately had an altercation with, I believe, Bruno Chacon. At least that's what is going on here. But here comes Drexler. You're right. These are the two cars in 1991 that used semi-automatic gearboxes with paddles in the back of the steering wheel. I always find it interesting that Ferrari was one of the first teams to use that, because in every other instance in their history in Formula One, they are always the very last people to do anything innovative. They were the last to the party on monocoque construction. They were last to the party on a bunch of stuff over the years. Engine in the front, for so many years, just simply because of the notion that the horse pulls the cart. It took them forever to embrace monocoque construction, carbon fiber, and all manner of other things. They just were convinced that the power of their engine was all that mattered. And here is the lone example I can think of them being ahead of the curve on anything with the semi-automatic gearbox. They had other problems that year that weren't so much with the gearbox, it was the engine or something else. But Williams, the main reason that they did not win the championship in 91 was because of the unreliability of that gearbox. It cost them a great deal of points early in the season. Would you guys agree?
I definitely did, yes.
Yeah. In fact, I remember after he retired from the San Marino Grand Prix, Nigel was furious because the thing absolutely failed on him and in a very precarious situation. And he came back and gave the people on the stand a piece of his mind. He was not happy. So, but eventually, by the end of the year, they had it sorted. And of course, by 92, it was all the kinks were worked out, and the car was the class of the field in 92.
Right, so
Yeah.
and was the class of the field in 93 as well.
Yeah, 93. Well, it looks like
And
this.
I suppose one could say Williams were the class of the field from 92 to say 96, pretty much.
More or less, yeah.
Like,
After 96, things started to go downhill. Yeah. All right. I think now would be a good time to do the trivia question before things get too close to the end here. All right. So the trivia question is.
Oh, God, Williams.
Oh,
Okay, never mind. Go on.
well, is it like worth looking at or no?
No.
Okay.
Go on.
All right. Trivia question for you to ponder or to answer now is Luigi Fagioli shared the 1951 French Grand Prix victory with which of the following drivers? Is it A, Louis Chiron, B, Juan Manuel Fangio, or is it C, Alberto Ascari?
Go with Ascari.
You go first, Juha, if you...
Well,
I said Ascari.
he said Ascari, so the time is time is up.
Since I believe Chiron didn't manage it on say Fangio.
All right. Well, the answer. You are correct, Jonathan. It is Juan Manuel Fangio, which means, unfortunately, for Juha. Wrong answer.
Wrong.
Another loss tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Fastest cars are now down to the 22s, with Wedding setting another fastest lap in the race.
He's
Well-
very quick in that, Jordan.
Yeah, the Jordans seem to be really hooked up in this race, and it's nice to see that Lewis was able to claw back a few points here because his start just did not go the way he wanted, and he had an excellent qualified third in the 191 Jordan, and
I'd say that might have been for him a bit of at the start he was, I believe, on the right-hand side of the grid,
Yes.
trying to run through the Grand Curb on cold tires, which everyone would have had, is, as I think you will attest to, quite the adventure on the opening lap.
It is, yes.
well,
Recommended.
it's interesting because, and we mentioned it at the start, we noticed that the pole position car sits on the right-hand side of the grid as opposed to the left, which seems a bit odd, but then when you think about it, probably being on the outside is the better place to be in terms of building speed, as Bouchard has another slight strange thing happen to him at golf there, and Ray closes up but is not able to do anything with it. So we've got 9 laps to go now coming up here. So if Ray has anything left here, the time is now. It'll be interesting if he actually manages to get by Bouchard, because then it'll be a reverse situation. He's got all the straight line speed and is kind of struggling to hang on in the turns. It'll be interesting to see if Bouchard is able to take that advantage and get the position back if he in fact loses it at any point here. Sun almost completely set here at Magny-Cours. Heading into the final turn. Okay. Left into the Grand Combe. Back to the right for Estoril, and look at this. He's well placed.
Oh, that looked really good.
Yeah, he had an excellent look. He's got a good roll now. Bouchard has a choice to make here. Does he go to the inside? No. He's got his car placed almost not quite middle of track, but just enough that it makes Ray think twice.
I think if Ray is going to go for a not entirely sure move on Bouchard there, it's going to be in the last couple of laps.
Yeah.
So that if something goes wrong, he still has time. There's not enough time to where he would lose out to Anders.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if he were half a car closer coming off Estoril than he was that time, he is very likely to simply go for it, because then he'd probably be close enough.
All right, so nine laps to, well, now it's lap 65 out of 72. So getting down to decision time here. If you're Ray Radal, I mean, basically you're one shot here. Here's Bouchard. They're heading into golf. This is the best chance that Ray has had yet. He's alongside almost fully. Can he get it done? He's braking. Bouchard turns in, makes contact. Is Ray going to take him on the inside? No. No.
But he could have a run out of this turn.
Yeah.
Nope.
I mean, it's
Bouchard being quite aggressive there.
Yeah, Bouchard is basically slamming the door every single time. He's not going to let Ray get alongside him here. Juha, your thoughts on this battle?
Well, sorry, I just missed that last action. Sorry for that. But yes, it's getting quite interesting. Let's just put it that way.
You're being the diplomat.
Yes.
Well, you're the series admin, so you have concerns that I do not have. So
I must remain impartial a few times to get someone protest them.
Yes. But Ray, I mean, that realistically, at the end of the straight there is the one chance Ray has to get by, because it's the one place.
It is, yes. And, well, you could say he wasn't quite alongside.
Oh, big off.
What
I think
was
that
that?
was
Whitman? My goodness.
Yeah, it was.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Here comes Ray again. He's making another move. He's on the grass into golf. They touch, going down towards the Adelaide hairpin. Who's going to give way? Ray goes on the inside. He take a touch again. Ray is in the lead. He barges his way through finally. Elbows out. I am taking the lead. No more of this. And Ray goes right in front. Finally. He has clear track in front of him. Ray Radal leads the French Grand Prix. Let's take a look at a replay. And it was similar to the last few times. Ray on the inside. Bouchard turns in, makes wheel-to-wheel contact with Ray. And Ray just accelerates up the inside, takes the position. These cars have got to be damaged to some degree by now. But Ray finally gets by. Now, can he hold off the McLaren for the time left? It certainly would seem so, because all of a sudden he's pulled out a 1.5-second gap.
Sadly for Wittmann, he touched the inside curbing and going through turn through ground
that's
curb,
what
and that
happened.
lifted the car, unfortunately. And unfortunately, with his retirement, that's the last fully French chassis and team entrant out of this race.
So you're saying that the fans are heading for the exits now?
Well, we still have the
it's-
Renault Williams in the lead, so
Yeah, I know they got the Renault Williams in the lead, so I'm thinking they're staying in their seats for that.
but some might be leaving, dependent on their affiliation.
And we've been alerted to the fact that Anders is in fact closing the gap to second place. Not that he would actually have enough time to do anything with that, but
Well, he still do. It's only 4 seconds and a half.
okay.
One mistake is enough.
It
Grant
would
Ridal.
depend what the tires are doing for Bouchard, I'd say.
Well,
Anders is probably cursing being stuck behind me early in the race.
all right, so that raging Honda power is still going inside Jules's car, but yeah, I think Ray is basically gone at this point, unless he makes a mistake. I don't see how Jules can catch him now. Clearly, I mean, this is a part of the track where Ray is at his best. So Jules was doing everything he could to keep him at bay. And in the end, you know, he got beaten in his own game. The elbows out style of racing. In the end, Ray just said, okay, you want to race that way? Here we go. And he went up the inside and refused to say no, and he got by. Sometimes you just have to not take no for an answer in a race and just bully your way by. Sometimes it comes down to that. But looking at the point standings, another thing we should be thinking about at this moment, because it looks as if Ray's going to add another 10 points, bringing him to 54. Nilsson is in third, so that will give him 4 points. And Centorami right now is he's out of the race. So Centorami and Coxon is not here, and Schlepinski discoed early on. So the only people on this chart that are going to score points are Nilsson and Ridal. So it's going to be another really successful day for Ray if he can keep the car going for just a few more laps. And let's see if we can see. Yeah, there he is. There's Anders behind Bouchard, but again, I don't think he has enough time to do anything with it. Bouchard would have to have a serious problem, I think. He's not fast enough to get the lead, but he's certainly not slow enough to not keep second place. So, but great first outing for Bouchard in the McLaren. Probably a bit more contact than we would like to see, but clearly this is a car that he likes. So it puts a new, it adds another, it adds sauce to the goose for this championship. It'll be interesting to see what happens from here on out. Anders, a very nice drive coming home in third place, a comparatively clean drive compared to other people. And Lewis Wedding up to fourth place now, having passed Grant Ridal. Grant is out of the race.
Oh,
Well, what happened there?
well, after all the effort I did to pass him.
Yeah, he's out of the race too. Apparently something went wrong there. But in any case, Lewis Wedding up to fourth place. That's going to be... He's only one place down from where he started after all of that. So I'm sure he's going to be very happy with that result, assuming he can get to the line. Fifth right now, top five for John Team in the Leighton House Ilmore. He's not had the best of seasons, and I'm sure that will do a great deal to raise his spirits. And in sixth place, hey, look at that, a Ferrari is in the points. Luciano Rocha. Good for him.
For Grant, it was an engine. Probably.
All right. Well, Luciano has been kind of languishing in the teens for most of this season. And now he's finally gotten the, it seems that the 6.43 is working well for him. He's up to 6th place. 7th, right behind him, is Drexler. So he's going to have to hold Drexler off before the end of the race. But with 12 cylinders of Maranello power, you would think he'd be able to do that. Unfortunately, it wasn't the race that David Saber wanted, but at least one of the 6.43s is going to finish in the points. I was telling Juha earlier, Jonatan, about this real-life race and how Prost qualified the 6.43 second and then finished second behind Mansell, but only 5 seconds back. So everybody had the impression at this debut of the 6.43 that this was the answer to Ferrari's woes, you know? And it was going to be a competitive car and happier times were ahead. Boy, were they wrong.
Sounds like typical Ferrari, does it?
Well, I mean, you can't say anything bad about Ferrari. I mean, the problem all along towards the end of the season was they kept trying to squeeze more and more and more out of the Ferrari V12, and eventually they were just squeezing the engine too hard and it just kept failing. And then Prost had a habit of opening his mouth in front of the press when he really should not have. I realized when I was doing my research for this race that his firing from Ferrari after the Japanese Grand Prix was the second time he had been fired by a works team in Formula One in his career. The first time was when he was with Renault, and he was highly critical in of the car and the lack of development of the car after the 1983 season, and so he was fired by Renault. Which didn't end up so bad because he ended up at McLaren, but in any case.
You nearly orchestrated it.
I believe this is the final, will be the second last lap for these guys, but Drexler and Rocha are still fighting now for 6th place.
This is now the final lap. And Bouchard's in the lead again. What happened? Where's Ray? He's in 3rd. What happened?
He must have run off and... No, he ran off earlier.
Oh my goodness. Ray ran off.
He spun off the penultimate turn.
He had a spin up at the Chateau d'Eux running in behind Chacon, who I think he got caught out by the lack of downforce on the car.
Yes.
I don't believe it. On the final lap, Ray loses the back end. This is incredible.
And Nilsson might gain some points in the championship with all of this if he can stay ahead.
I don't believe this.
What's held on so far?
I don't believe it.
Oh, Ray! Oh, Ray! Oh, Ray crashes!
What? Oh my goodness, he's crashed the car on the final lap! My goodness! Unbelievable!
The pressure got to him in the end.
I don't believe what I'm looking at right now! What the...
Well, don't forget to switch back to Bouchard. He's about to win the race.
He runs off the... Unbelievable! Bouchard wins! Bouchard, after all that, wins the French Grand Prix. Unbelievable! We have to go back and look at that.
Bouchard giving us donuts first.
Meantime, Nilsson comes down, then in...
unbelievable.
Drexler not able to take the position, so... Nilsson comes out 2nd, Wedding comes down 3rd, Ray Riddle will still be classified in 4th. Despite that crash, John Tim gets 5th, and Rocha just holds on ahead of Drexler for 6th, and the final point.
Actually, John Tim's going to take 4th because he wasn't.
No, he won't, because he's already. No, he hasn't finished. You're right.
No, John Tim hasn't finished, so he's going to demote Ray to 5th.
I'm just trying to catch my breath right now. This is insane. So, the winner of the race, Bouchard, after last lap dramas, and again, it was lap traffic causing issues. Unbelievable. I think it was that was the second time in this race that Chacon has caused an accident.
Well, Chacon didn't cause that accident. That was on Ray not
really
reading that situation well. Chacon was simply running around outside, leaving him room.
Anders takes 2nd. Lewis Wedding, after everything, finishes where he started in third place. Fourth, John Team, lots of points, or 3 points there for the Leitenhaus team. Fifth, Ray Riddall. So Ray will finish with 2 points. And then Rocha gets sixth for Ferrari. Seventh place, Drexler. He didn't get him at the line. Eighth is Sabre. So with all the drama, we didn't see Sabre climbing back up. Janik, after his problems, is ninth. 10th for Rob DeVries, which is for a Lambo pretty damn good. 11th, Grant Riddall after his engine let go. 12th, Bruno Chacon. 13th, Mark Whitman. 14th, Juha Boss. 15th, Luke Rosella. 16th, Del Piccolo. 17th, Centorami. 18th, Wilkes. 19th, McKeels. 20th, Barbera. 21st, Claudio Augusto. 22nd, Dario Epa. 23rd, Oscar Team. 24th, Salvatore Sirignano. 25th and last with the disco, Cesarius Slepinski.
So in the end, 9 cars crossed the finish line to finish the race.
My God, so that was a high attrition race. Oh, so that was the French Grand Prix. My goodness. So what could have been, basically that throws the championship not open again, but it gives new life to the people who are chasing Ray Riddall, since he only scored 2 points. But my goodness, I mean, basically it just, last lap confusion led to the result. Any final thoughts from you guys? Let's see if there's anybody who wants to actually chat. Let's see, in the green room. No, there's nobody. Nobody in the green room. You guys give us your thoughts.
As hectic a race as I was imagining it was going to be, far better action than I also thought it would be, because the track, I'd say, is a bit too quick in many sections to actually lean itself to good racing. But everyone kept close to one another, provided some good fights. Really good fun to watch overall, and everyone really put their heart out on track today.
Yeah. What about you, Juha?
Oh, it was very interesting to watch. I nearly don't regret retiring from it.
Well, with that, we'll put a cap on this broadcast. Thank you very much, first of all, to Jonatan for stepping in and doing the color commentary in the absence of Alberto. He was the lone DNQ for this race, and he would have been well within his rights to just say, forget it, I'm going to go do something else. But he very graciously offered his time, and I want to say thank you very much to Jonatan for that.
Thank you yourself for allowing me to step into the booth when the driver's seat was unfillable. And
thanks also to Juha for dropping in for a moment. Appreciate it. Coming up next, just to remind everybody, the next round for this race, this championship, is the Grosser Mobile 1 Prix von Deutschland, which will be taking place on the 7th of July. That's the 8th out of 16 rounds, so we're already at the midway point of this series, and that's another power circuit. So we'll see probably a battle royale between the Honda V12 and the Renault V10, so it should be very interesting. But thanks to everybody for watching, and thank you also again to Jonatan and Juha. This is Jason White saying so long from Magny Kur. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Hockenheim. Everybody take care and be safe.